It's not even been a month yet, and already opening up this box is like opening up a little time capsule full of all of these wonderful memories. I cannot wait to finally get a chance to share all of them with you guys. Hey guys, so just a quick warning before I actually dive into what I recorded for the London Q&A. I kind of rambled a lot. I talked a lot, I rambled a lot, and there were a lot more memories than I thought I would have to recall and share with you guys. I didn't even really cover everything I wanted to, so in the future I'm hoping to make like really short little videos, just sort of like pinpointing a few of the really awesome memories. Storytime moments, I guess, is what they call them, I suppose. I've heard the phrase and it sounds appropriate for the trip to London and Iceland. And I really am so grateful that I have this place to be able to make a little time capsule out of these videos of how I felt and the emotions and the memories and the pictures from those trips. And I definitely know that this rambling may not be for everybody, so I just wanted to get that out of the way in the beginning, that this is going to be really rambly. It's kind of long. I'm going to break it up into multiple parts because it's kind of long, but I really love that I had the opportunity to get it out. And if the interestingly silly details of my trip and my perspective of how it was to be in London and Iceland and what it was like is something that you're interested in, then there's plenty for you to enjoy. And if it's not your thing, don't feel guilty. Really, at the end of the day, this vlog channel is truly a place where I can just kind of make, like I said, time capsules for what matters to me and things that I love. And it's fine if it's not your thing, so I just wanted to kind of get that out of the way because you guys are gonna need to strap in for a long ride. Hey guys, so finally it is time to share some information about the trip that Chips and I took to London. And by information, I mean my little box of swag that I have right over here, where I put all of the little souvenirs and everything that we brought home into this box and put it to the side because I wanted it all in one place so that I could tell you guys about our trip and I could show you the things that I got and answer some of your guys' questions about how the trip to London went. And we've been so busy and a little bit sick because of the back to school germs this month that here I am almost a month later finally getting a chance to answer your questions. So thank you so much for your patience. I am also really excited because looking at all of these pieces again and having the memories come back, I feel so euphoric. I feel kind of like I'm flying on cloud 9 right now, remembering, oh yeah, we did that. That's now part of my life history. That is part of something that I did. And I really want to share it with you guys so that you can also just know the cool things that are out there in the world that you can do too. And also so I don't forget, because I have a little bit of a goldfish memory. And so sharing these videos and answering your guys' questions and pulling back my memories and refreshing them is really important to me. So I'm really excited. I asked you guys in our community tab a little bit of a while ago what you would like to know about our trip to London, and I asked the patrons over on our Patreon Discord what they would like to know about our trip to London, and I figured I would answer those questions pretty quickly because there's actually a lot of them, and in between the questions I could show you some of the stuff that I actually brought home. And if you're wondering why I have so many souvenirs, it is again because I kind of have some memory issues and I'm very visually triggered with memories. So even if it was just a little, like, oh, I don't know, 50p postcard, like, you know, like a 50-cent postcard at a place, I like getting it, or at least taking tons of pictures, because it will help me recall the whole day much, much better later on. So I don't mean to seem like I just like travel overseas and come back buried in stuff, because that's not me. But even like a little pebble that I'll pick up from a place can help me completely unfold the day and all of the memories and the emotions united with that memory much better than just trying to rely on whatever faulty system I have going on up there. So that's one of the reasons I have so much stuff, but the other reason is just because it was a lot of fun. We had a great time, and sometimes picking up some random surprises from the places that we stopped in just sort of was like a way to celebrate that. So that said, yes, Chips and I went to London. We spent almost 2.5 weeks in London, and we spent 2 days in Iceland on our way back home. And we went to London because I wanted to give him a 30th birthday gift that he could really savor and enjoy. I'm not sure if I was supposed to admit how old he is. Yes, I'm older. But yeah, it was his birthday present basically, and it's because he wanted to go see the #1 place that he loves the most in the world, other than when we visit his family and the beautiful mountains of North Carolina, and that is the British Museum, which houses some of the world's most precious artifacts for history. And as a very proud historian, that is just a place that he adores. And when we went there and we saw the museum and I saw his face light up and we walked from exhibit to exhibit talking about the reason that this was an important piece, the reason it was on display, I could really see why it was so important to him, and I am so happy that we shared that memory. So pretty much that moment right there of being able to stand by his side and see his passion for history and listen to the intensity that he will describe a scene, that he will take one statue that most people just walk by without even taking a selfie at, which is when you know people aren't interested at a museum. When you can go and just see his intensity and you can see how passionate he is about it, and he can take that statue and put it into a place in history that has real people who lived it and has ramifications for the civilizations before and after. It's just fantastic. He is an excellent storyteller. He's an excellent historian, and the entire bulk of the trip to London was for that moment. And I can happily say we went to the museum many times. We had a wonderful time, and I will always cherish that memory of being in a place where his passion could really come to life. But we also did a lot of other stuff. So I have a ton of questions I'm going to answer. I have a ton of things I'm going to show you guys, and I'm going to go kind of quickly because, as you know, I tend to ramble. But we'll have future vlogs, especially on the vlog channel, or just some chill streams where I'll be able to tell you guys more details about the things that we did. So I'm just kind of going to go through the questions pretty quickly, and I really want to finally take some of these things out of this box they've been living in for a month and put them away in my office so they can become mine. So the first questions are actually from our patron Discord, and the first one is from Den, who asked, did I have fun? And yes, thank you, Den. I did have fun. Overall, we had a wonderful, great time. We really pushed ourselves to go to places we normally wouldn't go to try new things. We also went with a ton of our friends, which was the first time I have ever traveled anywhere other than one wedding with my friends. And it's different when you travel for a wedding. There's a lot more stress, especially when your friend is the bride. So that doesn't count in my opinion. The friends that we took were some of my friends from high school, and somehow through a series of hilarious events they met Chips online and became his best friends before Chips and I even met. That story is actually in like our greenhouse ramble vlogs that I have when I played Plant Tycoon and would do Q&As in the past. I tell that kind of convoluted story, but basically my best friends from high school and Chips's best friends that he met as an adult before we even met are the same people. So we traveled with those people overseas, and it was really cool. I have never traveled with friends before, and we are all adults now. We all have full-time jobs that we're busy with now, so being able to take that time off and then hang out together and be adults and just like go wherever we wanted, do whatever we wanted, it was so cool. I've never had an experience like that, especially not overseas. This was my first time going to Europe. The only other time I've been overseas was when we went to Taiwan. So that was a really fun experience. And I think it was so much better because my friends were there and they don't live near us. We only get to see them maybe a couple times a year when we go to visit my family. And it was just really cool to hang out as adults and see how we've changed. So that was one of the biggest reasons that it was fun. There were also really big bumps though. I will have to tell you guys about the plumbing story from our Airbnb in London. Basically, Chips and I spent the first 2 nights when we were the only ones at the Airbnb that we were all staying at dealing with London plumbing. And I have learned that's not entirely an awesome thing, because the beautiful fancy Airbnb flat that we were in actually had the plumbing in the walls start to explode. And I will save that story for another day. And I definitely need to go faster. Sorry, the plumbing story gets me a little bit intense, okay? And I will explain the plumbing story in like a special vlog. Chips even has video of some of the events that happened, and it was it was pretty harrowing. But we're moving on to the fun things. So next question, Crystal Alpaca, one of our awesome patrons, asked, did you enjoy afternoon tea at all? And tea was actually a reoccurring theme that a lot of you guys asked about. Lily also asked, what tea did you enjoy whilst in the land of tea? And a few people actually asked, like Sanisha also asked, did I have any peach tea? The answers to that is we did enjoy afternoon tea, but we enjoyed it by going ahead and celebrating it in our own Airbnb. We actually couldn't find anywhere that offered afternoon tea, and that sounds really, really cliche that you would go to London and expect to just see like signs for a nice little afternoon tea set all over the place, but they weren't really that common. Like nobody really seemed to have time to sit down for afternoon tea at any of the places we were at in South Kensington, at least. And the few places that did have it didn't really offer vegan options, so we would have to pass it up. There are places that we looked up that you could see that offered really nice layouts, beautiful like afternoon tea that would be really romantic for two, and they were vegan, really fancy vegan things. But they were about 40 minutes away on the other side of London, and only like 2 miles. And you may think that 2 miles and 40 minutes is not a long time, but I can promise you we really misjudged that. That was one of the culture shock things. Here in the US, seeing something that's 2 miles away is usually very easy to get to. Even in downtown, that's just like, you kind of huff about it, but you can get there in about 20 minutes or so by car. It might take a little bit longer in really big cities like Chicago, but you usually can get somewhere that's only 2 miles away without too much trouble. Not in London. That we learned really fast. It was not worth 40 minutes there, 40 minutes back, and 20 minutes of walking from the tube to the location to go to afternoon tea. So unfortunately we didn't have afternoon tea at like a sit down place, but we had a lot of fun having it at our apartment. So we would go to Whole Foods, which was like right around the corner. We would get a whole bunch of tea. We got a whole bunch of biscuits. There's vegan biscuits that they offer at the Whole Foods from a place called Vegan Bakery. They're amazing. I want to eat nothing but vegan bakery biscuits the rest of my life. They were so delicious. And then we'd go home. We'd start tea, and then we'd take turns serving each other with really fancy, silly voices, tea and biscuits, and it was really cool. So we did have afternoon tea ourselves. And the types of tea we had were almost all herbal. Like we just pulled tea off the shelf when we would pop in to any of the, I think, did we go to Tesco? Yeah, I think we went to Tesco. Mostly we shopped at Whole Foods because it was really close and it had a lot of the stuff we were familiar with, including my peach tea. So that was really fun. We had a lot of herbal teas basically, and a lot of delicious biscuits. Highly recommend the Vegan Bakery biscuits if you're vegan. And also, by the way, there were vegan options everywhere, but I'll come to that in just a second. But let me reach in and just pull out something at random. Let's see, do I have anything good to be able to show you guys about tea and biscuits? I don't think I do. So yes, we enjoyed tea, we enjoyed biscuits in the land of tea. And it was really fun, and there were a lot of different teas to pick from. Grocery stores were just like they are in the US, and actually everything was so much cheaper. The actual food stuff at grocery stores was weirdly cheaper than anything in the US. Like shopping at Whole Foods, a lot of people would balk at in the US because it can be very expensive. It was really fine, like in London, which was very surreal. So yeah, the prices were really good if you're coming from the United States and you're expecting those kinds of prices for food. When you eat out, it might be a little on the upper side, but for groceries, it was really reasonable, a lot cheaper. It was a sticker shock coming home and going to get groceries and seeing what the prices are here. They're like double of what a lot of it cost in London, so I was very surprised by that. But we had a lot of great tea. And then Tanya, the shy dragoness, asked, did you see any cute giraffe things while you were there? And yes, actually, we did. You would not think I would see cute giraffe things in London, and I did not actually get a chance to go to the London Zoo, so I didn't actually see the cute giraffes, but I saw some giraffes at the Natural History Museum. So we did go to the Natural History Museum. My eyes just lit up, I can feel it, which has the Darwin collection and a whole bunch of pretty famous pieces. The Natural History Museum is also a gorgeous building. It is absolutely beautiful. The architecture of the building was actually what surprised me the most, and I spent the most time looking over all of the way the different stonework pieces came together, the way that they had different animals carved and painted all over the roof, like all over the ceilings, all down the frescoes, all down the columns. There's animals everywhere. So I was more on the hunt for the beauty of the architecture than anything else. But the first thing you see, right now at least, when you walk into the Natural History Museum is a giraffe skeleton and a taxidermy giraffe, and I was in love. I was really blown away looking at the actual skeleton of a giraffe up close and seeing how everything looks so familiar and elongated. The size of the vertebrae, they have the same number of vertebrae as a lot of animals, but they're huge. So that was really fun, and I got this beautiful giraffe poster, a lovely like realistic drawing of a giraffe at the Natural History Museum. And we had a really good time when we were in the Natural History Museum. They have a special section set up right now called Animals in the Dark, and we went through it with my friends, and normally I don't really get a chance to go into the like paid event areas of the different museums we go to, but it was totally worth it. It was so much fun. They had a whole bunch of different animals that really thrive in the dark, covering everything from foxes and badgers, moving all the way into bioluminescent animals who live in the depths of the sea. And the bioluminescent area was gorgeous. Walking with my friends and being able to completely geek out about all the different animals we were looking at, like, oh look, there's one of the eye, or oh look over here, here's a fruit bat. Being able to rattle off cool facts, especially when we hit the cave area that they had set up, because I used to teach cave ecology. That was so much fun. I loved being able to tell my friends all the cool facts that I knew. I felt like I was in my complete prime. I was like, yes, this is my zone. This is what I know. This is what I love. So it was really fun. I actually really loved that particular like paid setup. The Natural History Museum is free. You just walk right in with about 800 children, by the way, who are very loud, to warn you. And there's no working water fountains. You've been warned. There's one. It's just decorative. And actually be prepared for that if you do go to London. Almost nowhere we went, except for the Botanical Garden, had a water fountain that was easy to access and functional. So we had our water bottles with us, and that saved us so many times from all of the walking and all of the exhaustion. So bring your own water bottles, just put up with carrying them around, and be prepared to never be able to fill them up. And when you can, do it, because you will regret if you don't. But I loved being in my element. I loved being able to tell my friends all the cool animal facts, and I got this really fun, Chip's calls her sharky, but I got this really beautiful anglerfish. They had a lot of anglerfish, a lot of bioluminescent animals from the deep sea, all in little jars, no living animals. So it definitely was more of a stuffed traditional Natural History Museum, which we're starting to move away from here in the US, where they're doing more modern sort of setups. But taxidermy is a very historical way to study animals, and even though it was a little sad to see so many dead ones over and over and over again, there's a lot of history for how the age of exploration started, for how people really started to investigate the natural world, trying to draw correlations together. That does lie back in that era when those animals were made into taxidermy pieces. So I could respect that, even if Chips was definitely like, there's so much death here, which is true. So I felt a little bad for him about that. Also, the Natural History Museum has a fantastic little garden that's sort of hidden outside of the Darwin area. I highly recommend it because while we were there, we actually got to see baby moorhens, and they were so freaking cute, as usual, and baby coots. And just baby birds. It was like baby bird time. I saw a whole bunch of fledglings, and it was very peaceful. And after you have fought your way past the dinosaur area, and I have flashbacks of being stuck in the queue in the dinosaur area sometimes. There were so many people and so many kids and so much screaming. then you need a break from all that. The garden tucked at the back of the Natural History Museum is beautiful, has some peaceful benches, and you can sit there and almost nobody is back there. So we really enjoyed that for kind of just getting a break and recharging. But yeah, so I got Sharky, which is what Chips calls her, and whenever I look at how sparkly she is, I remember hanging out with all of my friends in the Natural History Museum, and while we were there, Chips actually had one of our friends disappear for a little while, and I didn't know what he was up to. But he had seen this giraffe keychain in the gift shop, and he had our friend go back and buy it so that he could give it to me later as a surprise gift. So I thought that was really, really sweet of Chips. So yes, I did end up with a lot of giraffe swag, and it was from the Natural History Museum. And there is a lot of history of how the natural world has become what we conceive of as the modern scientific era that it is there. So if you're into like seeing some of Darwin's original pieces, if you're interested in seeing some of like the original Audubon pictures of birds, there's definitely a lot of that there. So I really loved it. It was way crowded. It was super noisy. And if you do go into like some of the areas in all of the museums and all of the places that we went, here's something to be prepared for our experience in London. There's queues everywhere, and a lot of the way the places are set up, so like the dinosaur section in the Natural History Museum, you can't walk wherever you want. There's a queue. It's built, the whole exhibit is built so that you have to go down a specific path, and when it's full of people, you can't linger and you can't kind of stop and really take a minute to look at things. The line pushes you and pushes you. And a lot of places, the aquarium we went to, which I wouldn't do the aquarium again. It was noisy, full of people, and it's very surreal to be from here, where you can go at your own pace at zoos, you can go at your own pace in aquariums, you can go at your own pace in museums and go back and forth. It's a very open format. A lot of the places we visited were not built like that. They had a specific path that you were supposed to take, and you couldn't really linger in those paths. So just be aware there's a few places like that, and the Natural History Museum's dinosaur exhibit was like that and full of screaming. So yeah, that was definitely an event. But they did have some cool animatronic pieces and facts for the kids, and it did make me happy, even with the yelling, to see that the kids were really picking up on a lot of the dinosaur hype. So that was awesome. I saw so many Jurassic World shirts while I was in there. And there is a lot of stuff from Darwin's expeditions and some of the other scientists at the same time who were also coming up with the ideas of kind of evolution and pieces like that. So I did get a little dodo from the Natural History Museum too, but I loved it. Natural History Museum was completely awesome. I don't think I have anything else from there, but yeah, I would recommend it. Just be prepared for a lot of kids.